who's the child? Is it Mr. Nicholson? Are you the son?
I'm the dad, yeah.
Yeah, right. But it's Daniel who's the son, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I've read the pleadings in the case, so I understand why you said you don't want to negotiate. You'd say there's nothing to negotiate here. We're doing the right thing for Dad. So we're going to have a conversation about this. My review of the information that I saw in the file I did not see any place where there was a guardianship for your father. Am I correct about that?
Yes, you're right.
Okay. So I don't know if you picked up on it. The message I was trying to send when I was talking about I'm only limited to doing money damages in these cases, and I can't order something like don't possess firearms or return firearms or those sorts of things.
Yes, sir.
It was directed at the situation here. My assessment of it is that you took your dad's 11 firearms because of the stroke that he had and your concerns for his safety and the safety of others.
Well,
and I mean, I assume that's the general basis for it.
Actually, when he started having health problems, he offered them to me and wanted me to have them. And so for the second time, actually, there was 2 times this happened. The very first time when he moved out into a nursing home, he gave me the guns. He wanted me to have them. He even said, I can't lift them. And I'm just, my health is failing. I can't use them. So he gave them to me. And then a year later, he started having health problems again. He gave them to me again. And I have witnesses. And then he has gone above and beyond to discredit me and I can't even. I'm going to try my best not to lose it here, Your Honor, but
it's heartbreaking.
This has been a rough one.
Yeah, no, I understand that. Okay, so if the issue is you're holding your dad's weapons or guns because you have a concern for his ability to safely possess them, which was my interpretation of reading the things that had been filed. That's one thing. If what you're saying is that you believe you have the right to the weapons, even though your father wants them back, and it has nothing to do with the safety issue, that you have some legal right to them, that's potentially a claim. I mean, that's a legal case. We could talk about that.
It's kind of both, Your Honor. Honestly, it really is. So when he originally gave me the guns, I had them for probably 8 months. And then all of a sudden he called me and was like, I want my guns back. And he was mad he thought it was my fault that he got his driving privileges taken away and all this stuff. So he wanted his guns back. At that time, Adult Protective Services had been called multiple times on him. The neighbors were calling because of him lighting fires and acting irrational. His landlord was calling me and asking me if I could get them out of there because they were being so erratic with the neighbors. I mean, it was just over and over. And then I told him, Dad, I don't feel comfortable putting guns back in your house right now, even though you gave them to me. And then a few days later, he called the police on me and said that I broke into his house and stole them. The cop called me, and it was the same the same officer that had been to his house multiple times, from the neighbors calling. His stepchildren called the police one time because they felt like he was abusing and neglecting his wife. And
hospice.
And hospice was there asking me, there's no guns in the house, because he was being very obsessive over guns, talking about reloading bullets. And so I just said at the time, Dad, let's talk about this later. Like, I don't feel comfortable putting guns back in your house, even though they were a gift. And I have multiple witnesses that saw him give them to me as a gift. He's promised me the guns my whole life. That's why I uploaded 3 of his wills. It says there, I want you to have them. I know that he can change his will whenever he wants. That's not what I'm trying to say. But then, so the cop called me and was like, I appreciate you not putting guns back in the house. So then a couple, like, what was it, a month maybe went by?
When he filed the case, it was 6 months later.
Was it a few months later? Then he walked into the Lacey Police Department and said, Daniel broke into my house in the middle of the night and stole my guns. He's had like 4 or 5 different lists of guns. There's been like 4 guns, 8 guns, 15 guns, 21 guns. He's gotten 3 lawyers against me. All 3 of them dropped his case. One of them told them they were going to turn him into adult protective services because of his behavior. This has been the most horrible year of my life. My wife and I have spent over a decade caring for him, taking care of him, doing everything for paying all of his bills, doing grocery shopping for him, cooking for him. You name it. All the services that he has set up in his house, hospice, VA. We did that. We got Dial-a-Lift. We did all of that. I took him to all of his appointments, dozens and dozens and dozens of appointments. Trying not to get too worked up here. He has posted all over Facebook how I'm a red flag law, he's a risk. He's called the police. He's called my entire family, all of my step siblings, and told them that how dangerous I am, how horrible I am, how I broke into his house. They don't even talk to him anymore because of it. My sister has been here through this whole entire thing. She's seen everything. She was either here in person or has had personal conversations with him. I mean, this is the most. I don't know what to say. I can't even fathom this anymore.
Hey, let me interrupt. So have you contemplated getting guardianship?
We've discussed it, but I just don't know. I don't want to take his rights away from him. I've only tried to do what's right for him, and I feel.
Okay, so we're gonna have to. Let me have you raise your right hand. Mr. Nicholson, do you swear that testimony in this case to be the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So you just told me that your father gave you the weapons as a gift.
Yes,
that
sir.
is, your belief is that he had no expectation that the weapons are going to ever be returned to him. Is that your position?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so even though the wills refer to him or you getting the weapons upon his being deceased, you're maintaining that, in fact, he gave you the weapons without having to activate the provision in the wills. Is that your position?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Nicholson in court, Mr. Ronald Nicholson, your son says that you
correct.
Gave him a gift of the weapons.
No.
Okay, tell me how he got your
Okay,
weapons.
the guns were going to be given to him through my will upon my death. The reason that he got the guns in the first place was because I was moving into a place called Patriots Landing, which does not allow weapons.
My mom lived at Patriots.
Okay.
So I'm familiar with it.
And so I had to have a place to put the guns. So I asked him if he wouldn't temporarily
Actually,
keep the guns at his house.
I'm sorry. Sir, why don't you raise your right hand? Let me swear you in.
Oh,
You swear the testimony in this case will be the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Okay, go ahead.
And anyway, so I got to say, I was at Patriots Landing. I couldn't keep the guns there. So I wanted to keep the guns safe from somewhere. And so I chose his house. They were going to be given to him upon my death, not upon my life. Or I was going to die first before I give him the guns. That was the stipulation, and that's what my will said. Although that has been changed because I am fearful that he is going to have guns. He has a phobia when it comes to weapons. I've asked him to do counseling and a whole bunch of other stuff, but he won't do it. At least I don't think he has. Anyway, so the process of me acquiring these guns, there's nothing wrong. Well, I have a here from my my doctor. I have two doctors that said that my first doctor, her name was Rachel Carlin. She was not a VA doctor, but my geriatric doctor and my the stroke doctor. I can't think of his name right now. I mean,
Your
his name is Dr.
neurologist?
Bright, but I can't think of what you call those doctors.
Your neurologist.
Neurologist, yeah. Oh, thank you. Anyway, they gave me a clean bill of health. Said I'm just as sane
I
as
saw
anybody
that in there.
else. I don't need to worry about. He gave me back my car. He wasn't going to keep. The reason he had my guns in the first place was because I'd went to bed early that night. About over a year ago, I waited a year to make this, to file this, because I wanted him to come to his senses, but he didn't. And so in the process of doing that, I ended up, how should I put this? Anyway, I ended up trying to get my guns from, well, let's put it this way. The doctor said I'm cured from the stroke. I have no problem with the stroke whatsoever, nothing. I have no qualms whatsoever. My geriatric doctor and the neurologist said that everything's fine. In fact, they gave me to get my driver's license back, he had me take from a speech therapist, I had to memorize 2 10-word, they were twice they did this. What she did, she would tell a story.
All right, yeah, you don't have to describe that.
Okay, good. Well, anyway,
Okay, so it's your position that you asked your son to hold your guns. Your position is you didn't give them to him.
correct. I didn't give him his guns.
Okay, and are you still residing at Patriots Landing?
Pardon me?
Are you still living at Patriots Landing?
No, I'm not. I moved out of there. I couldn't handle it. I post-traumatic stress syndrome took over. I didn't sleep for 5 days. So I had to get out. I had 3 psychiatrists tell me, get out of that place because of all the deaths. And I had two buddies of mine that were in the Battle of Incheon. They're Marines, and that affected my brain big time. And so I had to leave, and I bought a park in Lacey, at a trailer park in Lacey, and I've been happy there ever since.
Okay.
And my wife has since died, about 6 months ago. But my judgment is that the guns were not his to begin with. Upon my death, I was going to give him, but I don't want him to have those guns now because his phobia with those guns.
Okay.
I've willed the guns to my grandson because I'm afraid of him having these guns. His phobia, his actions, his constant lies. He lied to me about hospice, not allowing guns. Well, that was a complete fabrication. He's lied to the police officer. He lied to his sister. He lied to his brother. He lies all over the place just to keep the guns.
Okay.
And I tried not to interfere in that, not around, with his brothers and sisters. But it's just too much for me. But he lies to me, and when I caught him in his lie, because hospice said there's no such thing as that. I even talked to the manager over that, the head nurse over that situation, and she said, no, there's nothing like that.
Are you still on hospice care?
Pardon me?
Are you still on hospice care?
No, I'm not. That was my wife. She had that hospice.
Okay, all right,
She had it for over a year.
right, okay. All right, thank you.
I'm a little bit concerned about getting my guns I want to please, if I get my guns back, I'm concerned about having going to his house or how, get some way, got to figure this out, that I can get those guns back because I'm going to sell some of them because there's no sense in me keeping them because I don't use them anymore. But I want them for, you know, for the value and the fact that they're mine, not his. And so, no, that's about all I got to say.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry.
No,
I carry on.
I'm not sure if you want to speak to my sister, but she was in the waiting room and she got kicked out, but she's on standby if you'd like to talk to her.
yeah, it's, if I was in your position, Daniel Nicholson, I would have done the exact same thing. So I understand the instinct there. Uh, my dad fought in Korea, and he had a
I mean,
Chinese, he had a Chinese rifle. He had
Yeah,
a pistol.
my dad has threatened suicide. I mean, it's
Right. Okay. My point here being, I understand what you did. As I said, I would do the same thing, but that's different than a legal authority. The argument that he gave them to you as a gift, your dad's arguing with that. He says, no, just give them to hold. The evidence of that, you know, are people saying, yeah, it looks like it was a gift, but I'm not convinced that your father was able to discern the difference between gift and not at the time the guns are going back into your possession. So I'm not comfortable saying they were indeed a gift and he waived all his rights to any possession of them. Bottom line is, this looks like it was an attempt by you to keep your father safe and others safe, and you did it out of the goodness of your heart, trying to be protective of him. He's appearing before me. I haven't. Your dad found his way to the courthouse. He filed this claim, and he appears competent at this moment in time.
so.
You know,
I do have one question.
Yeah, well, hold on just a second.
Okay, go ahead.
So I don't find any legal basis. If you're next room available,
I have someone at I can.
Yeah.
Someone like.
Mr. Whitehead and Mr. Leyva. And Mr. Leyva is in here, just Mr. Whitehead. So there's no legally, I don't find that I can decide the case in Daniel Nicholson's favor. If your dad wants the weapons back, he gets the weapons back based on, I don't see that he lacks competency appearing today. That's not the result I want, because I don't want to read about in the paper something happening. The option you have is getting a guardianship and then being able to make those decisions. And you know, I recognize the difficulties that's going to be with your dad appearing competent right now. There may be an unwillingness on the part of a court to grant a guardianship. This is a problematic case, and the only thing I can't order the return of the weapons. As I said, this is only about a money judgment. Your dad hasn't given me any evidence as to the value of the weapons.
The guns that he listed, I don't even have them.
So I don't have any.
I wrote in the form $9,000. That's my estimate. That's the scopes and the rifles and everything. You know.
Yeah, but there has to be a basis for that besides just being an estimate. I don't have any catalogs. I don't have any pricing.
Well, yeah, you can't do that. It's just strictly what I paid for them, basically.
Your Honor,
They're all retail. It's retail.
One thing.
Yeah. So
the list that he provided, there's only a few on that list that I actually have.
He's gotten rid of guns over the years. I think he doesn't remember.
Yeah. So this is part of the problem, and I've tried to explain to him, like, because at first there was 4 guns that he wanted, or 5 maybe. He sent an email, and I'm like, okay.
How many do you have, Mr. Nicholson?
I think there's 7. One of which he gave me as a Christmas gift 4 years ago, 5 years ago. That are on that list.
There's a total list of the guns that are, well, here.
Yeah, but
Okay.
That's not accurate.
it's not accurate.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Well, you had
7,
11
8,
in
9,
there.
10, 11, 12. 12
It-
guns.
There's
What's-
another list that I uploaded where there's like 17, and then there's
I-
another
I-
list
I
that
saw the- Okay. All right, so Daniel Nicholson, in your actual possession, you say you have 6? Is
Yes.
that right? Okay.
Oh, he's
And,
got them at home.
and Ronald Nicholson, your son said you gave him one of the weapons as a Christmas gift. Is that accurate?
That's correct.
Okay. Okay,
But not
Okay.
one, not, that was a separate gun. These 12 guns are the ones that he took out of my safe. The other guns I gave to him.
Okay.
I gave him all his guns except for that
True.
the AR.
Yeah, that's another thing. I don't know if you looked at his letters, but he's writing on there that I have a weapon of war, M16. He called me on the phone, Your Honor, and said he's going to get the FBI to break into my house and report me as a red flag.
Well, he also
All right.
said in the court today, while we were waiting,
He said if this doesn't go in his favor, he's coming to my house next. We literally do not answer the door because we're fearful of our lives. He's made threats. He has.
and he said he's bringing reporters to our house.
Yeah, he's bringing reporters to our house. I'm actually I'm a public figure in my community, and he has been trying to discredit me every which way. I had to block him on Facebook because he was posting my name and address all over Facebook and telling them and just writing that I broke into his house and that I'm a potential school shooter.
I don't even have Facebook.
That's not truthful, Keith.
okay, yeah, okay, folks. Hey, we've gone way beyond the limits of what this proceeding is I thought we might if we opened this door, but we have to have this conversation since the case was filed.
I just don't know what to do. Even
Okay.
if I give him his guns back, it's never going to be enough because he thinks that I have something that I don't.
Right. What everybody here, both parties are seeking is a resolution from the court where I don't think there is a resolution that's possible here. The easiest thing, the way you get a most complete resolution here is if you are able to get a guardianship. Without a guardianship, your dad is appearing in front of me, and Mr. Nicholson appearing in front of me, has the ability to make his own decisions. And we typically, and then you can report your concerns, which would be legitimate, about his ability to have these weapons and put him on the law enforcement list is something they should be aware of. But that's the process that, the legislature has set up for how to handle these situations. You have the right to seek a protection order, which is a separate process than this, to tell your dad he can't come to your house if there's a concern there, and those are the types of things. That's how the legal process is set up. It's wholly inadequate to address a very real concern that you have. I am very sympathetic to that concern. But my sympathy for that concern doesn't allow me to ignore what the law is here. So I would find that other than the weapon that your you indicate your dad gave you as a gift, he's entitled to the other weapons. He hasn't given me a good basis for assessing the dollar amount that I would attach to those. So, do you want to? Thank you. And do you have a caregiver now, Mr. Nichols?
I'm sorry.
Do you have a caregiver now? Do you just reside by yourself?
No, I just by myself, yeah.
I will say that probably half of the 6 guns that I do have, I'm not even sure if they work because they're really old. I mean, they're not antique old. They're just old, crappy guns.
Right. Do you have any ammunition?
No,
Does your dad have any ammunition?
no.
Yeah, he loads his own bullets.
Oh, does he? At home, yes. He's loading bullets at home. He has ammunition at home. He has guns at home.
He's went and bought guns since this.
Okay. So your dad possessing firearms is he's possessing them now. He just has different weapons than the weapons you have. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Okay. So the safety issue exists whether you keep the weapons or not keep the weapons. It sounds like he already has weapons on his own.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, when this thing first started and he called me and he said he wanted his guns back, and I told him, hey, let's just hold off for now. There was so many things happening at that time with, like I already stated before, and plus my stepmom was on hospice, and there was just a lot going on. Plus I had the police officer call me and ask me not to.
And hospice.
Asked me not to. So
Right.
if he would have just let it go and let time go by, and then I saw him maybe recovering, things might have been different. But he immediately went and said that I broke into his home, which
Yeah. Yeah, we've been through this, and
yeah,
one of the things you'll hear from me and probably any other judges, we can't really stop what people say about somebody else.
Yeah.
That's, if you're a public figure, if you appear on Facebook, people are going to say stuff about you, and courts don't make it a habit of intervening in that. So we try to stay away from that. There's not much that can happen there.
I got
I
you.
just have to develop, people say bad stuff about me all the time, and I just have to turn a deaf ear to it.
I hear you.
So I can't address those concerns. I have the safety concern, but it's interesting to me now to find out that in fact your dad's safety concern is kind of moot because your dad already has weapons and ammunition, it sounds like, apart from the weapons that you possess of his.
Yeah. I haven't actually seen it, but I just know that he's
told, because
mentioned it.
he said that he bought them, then he said that he sold them. So
Yeah.
we don't know if he physically has them right now, because he's told Dan's sister both stories.
Yeah. I mean,
He's telling me he has. You have weapons at home?
I'm sorry.
You have weapons at home?
Yes, I do.
I've never seen them.
Take
I
it
don't
to
know
the
what,
range.
I don't know what he has.
I take the guns to a range and fire them at a range, at a target.
When was the last time you went to the,
About a month ago.
All right.
When it's not raining.
I can't speak to that. I have no idea. I mean, I've tried to communicate with him over this, but all I ever get is him calling me names, and it just devolved. I mean,
is there any member of your family that, serves as an intermediary?
His sister tried.
my sister.
Successfully, you think?
No, like she's tried over and over again, and he just doesn't. It doesn't compute.
Okay.
I don't know how to resolve this, and I've tried to. I mean, and that's the thing. It's like, how do he's very obsessive, compulsive, and
Yeah. We don't want to sort of keep throwing logs on the fire here. I've listened to
that's
what's
fine.
going on. I have a sense of what's going on.
Here's what
Okay.
they
As
stopped.
I had indicated, I'm limited by the law here, and the law doesn't sort of let me weigh in and say, yeah, I agree, your dad shouldn't have firearms, he shouldn't be driving, whatever. Those are things I can't, I don't have the authority pursuant to this process to weigh in on. So applying the law, I'm not convinced that your dad understood that he was giving you weapons as a gift with the expectation they would never be returned to him. It seems to me, I will make a finding that they were given to you to hold during periods of difficulties in his life. He appears competent now and has demanded their return, and I have obligated to find judgment for his favor. As I said, I cannot order the return of the weapons pursuant to this process, but I can assess the dollar damage. I have not been presented any specific facts as to the value of the weapons, so I will just assign just minimal acknowledgement financially of the weapons. So Mr. Daniel Nicholson indicates that he currently has 6 of the weapons that there was a list of 12 or 11 that Ronald Nicholson presented to the court. I'm satisfied that the current possessor of those weapons knows the exact number. He says it's 6. And I will assess damages just based on them having some intrinsic value of $100 per weapon. So that'll be a judgment in core of $600 for Ronald Nicholson against Daniel Nicholson, plus the $50 filing fee, a total of $650. And so as a result of this proceeding, Daniel Nicholson, you owed Ronald Nicholson $650. And that's all I can do in this case. All
Okay.
right.
I appreciate your time.
Okay, and good luck to all of you. I hope eventually you can achieve some peace here and have kind words to say about each other. I'll just tell you, your dad, while he's sitting here in front of me, it appears, Mr. Nicholson, that your son is doing this out of love for you. He's not doing it to take advantage of you. So that's just my assessment. You don't have to try to tell me different. I'm just telling you, listening to both of you, that's how I feel.
Okay, no problem.
All right, here's your judgment form right here, sir. All right, thank you all very much.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I can sign off. I don't need to.
You're all set. Yep.
Okay. Thank you.